Yeah, today we're joined by a friend of Brookhouse College, Mr. Lawrie Dudfield. How are you, Lawrie, my friend?
I'm good, thanks, Micky. How are you, pal?
I'm very good, thank you. Not as good looking as you, but you know, beggars can't be choosers, mate. So, as I said before at the beginning there, Lawrie, you are a friend of Brookhouse College. Tell us about the various roles that you've held at the school.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough around about four years ago, just pure chance meeting a friend of a friend, and was put in touch with Giles, and didn't know much about the college. As I said, was really fortunate that the relationship that's developed since has been brilliant for me on an individual level, because, you know, as you said, I've travelled the world, been over to various countries working with yourself and other coaches on camps. I've understood the concept of Brookhouse College and learnt the values that they have there. So yeah, various roles really, from scouting through to recruitment, and just generally publicising Brookhouse on a positive scale, really, to the rest of the world.
It's a great concept, isn't it? You know, education and football as well. So I guess it's an easy sell round the world, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, football's, as we all know, we all love it.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Siri.
Sorry. I apologise.
So yes, Siri's answering the question for me. Yeah, football's huge. So, you know, we're very, very lucky that we work in an industry. And I'm sure you feel the same, that it's so popular, and it is around the world. So, you know, I live in the States, and I only have to look over there how popular the game is now. So to put that with world-class education, as Brookhouse do, and the level of the football in the college as well, it's a perfect partnership.
Yeah. So listen, your early career. I mean, everybody, I guess, would know you as a Leicester City player, moving on to Hull City and various clubs like Southend and Northampton Town, Notts County as well. But you started your career at Kettering Town, I believe, and am I right in saying that you were the youngest ever debutant at Kettering Town?
I believe so. I think I was the youngest player at the time to play in the conference. I was 16 years and probably 3 months old. My story is probably different to most of these young superstars that come through in that, because they were always the kids that were ahead of the game, and, you know, were the best players in their teams. And mine's, you know, without boring you too much, was completely different. I was at 12. I was sub left back, sub right back, and sub goalkeeper. So for my team, 13. I had to drop down teams in my local team. I just wasn't good enough to get into their first team. So dropped down, played with my mates, and changed position to striker. And really, from the period 14 to 15, it just took off for me. Something happened. My love for the game was always there, even when I wasn't playing. But I just wanted to keep bettering myself. And as I said, that 14 to 15-year period was immense for me, a real eye-opener. And then at 15, I went for trials at Kettering Town. The late Bob Mullen, the coach that was at Leicester as well, that you may well know, took me in for the under-19s at Kettering. I went with a trial with Trevor Benjamin, and Trevor was a year or two older than me. He got in, and they said, look, we'll just keep an eye on you. So, and they did that. They made me train with the under-19s twice a week at 14, 15, and it just really helped my development, and my game just went from there, really. So it was a real different kind of learning curve for me, as it was to many others. You know, I wasn't technically the best player. I was just the most enthusiastic, and I would do whatever it takes to have been a footballer.
I get, well, listen, that's a good story, because I guess a lot of young players, they see the Premiership, that's where they want to go, and they want to get from A to B too quickly sometimes for a lot of them. And your story is one of developing in the lower leagues. So did you ever lose faith at any stage during that process, or was it just at 14, 15 you started to develop physically and you could deal with it?
Yeah, I don't think I ever lost faith, because I'm not sure faith was there. I don't mean that in a strange way. Football was different to what it is now, and I would have been as happy playing, you know, for a Saturday team, Sunday morning team, and as an adult, that was, I had no aspirations. I wanted to be a footballer. I would have loved to have been a footballer, and I loved the game, but I had no idea that I could make a career out of it. Probably, as you say, till I was 15, 16, when I started to think, right, I'm doing pretty well. Throughout my whole life, I've always had this thing about standing still. I hate the thought of standing still. Not physically on a pitch, obviously, that doesn't help, but just in life. And so I always wanted to know what was next, and the next achievement that I could aim for, really. So I think playing against men at 15, which, Kettering put me on loan to a local team, Burton Park Wanderers. So I was playing men's football at UCL level at 15, toughened me up because I had no idea what I was in for. I was getting kicked from pillar to post by 35-year-old men. If I took someone on or scored a goal, I was scared for my life, kind of thing. So, but joking aside, that made me. That was, that really did improve my game, improve my desire to take it to the next level, and stood me in good stead for the conference, because back then the conference probably isn't what it is today, or wasn't what it is today, should I say. Then it was very much people at the end of their career, the 30-year-olds to 35-year-olds, big centre halves that were going to be smashing me everywhere. So it was a different game. So I was, that stood me in good stead for that.
Yeah, good. Well, listen, I want to move it on, not too far, but April 2000. You're now at Leicester City. You've had your move from Kettering Town to Leicester City, and you made your debut versus Everton in the Premier League. Came on, replacing Tony Cottee. How was that? How were the nerves? What were you feeling inside?
It was a great moment, best moment of my life, other than my kids being born, of course. I'd achieved at that point. I still wanted to go and get more, but that was a huge moment for me, for my family. I came off of Tony Cottee. He was a hero of mine, a West Ham fan. So that was huge. In answer to the nerves, I was, as a kid, it might surprise you to know now, but as a kid, I was the opposite, and I was really nervous. So I was white. I was not like your lovely tan now. I was properly white. And I was just shaking, nervous. And I was, to be honest, most of my football career, I was like that before games. Nerves, I tried to use them positively. Sometimes it wasn't. But until I had that first touch or second touch, then that got me into the game, and then I was okay. So, I think that there's a lot to be said for being nervous for a game if you can channel it the right way. But equally, it can destroy you before you've even started if you can't manage it.
So on the pitch, what you're saying basically is that, yeah, it's okay to be nervous, but make sure that first touch is a good one, and just work your way into a game. Yeah. So that there's
definitely. I always use it as a nervous excitement. So coming on and then settle into the game, and it calmed me down when I'd had that first touch or a first thing. Obviously, you put your pressure on yourself, don't you? If you've had a few bad touches, and I know it'll amaze you, but that did happen a couple of times to me. But if a general, yes, settle into the game and enjoy yourself.
Okay, and then I guess there was a lot of competition in the Premier League at Leicester City at the time. Did you feel that you had to move on to establish yourself at a club? You eventually go to Hull City, I think, for a club record fee, 250,000.
Yeah, well, Martin had played me in the Premier League in my debut. I travelled with the squad for a year. I was doing exceptionally well in the reserves, and Stan Collymore got injured at Derby to give me my chance. So I was involved in and around the squad. Listen, looking back at it now, was I a Premier League player? No. I wasn't. The facts don't lie. I wasn't good enough to be a Premier League player on a regular basis. But I did well under Martin, and then unfortunately Martin left at the end of the season, went to Celtic. Peter Taylor came in, and I remember the first pre-season game, we had Wickham away. We won 3-0. Stan Collymore scored, Adi Akinbaye scored, and I scored. And then I never played another minute of pre-season, so I wasn't even training with the first team. So I think it was clear that he'd made signings ironically like Trevor Benjamin, were going to come in ahead of me. So it was a really tough year for a young lad to come in and be involved, and then all of a sudden not even training with the first team was really tough for me. So, and I was always the same throughout my whole career. I didn't want to sit on the bench. I didn't want to wait around if my face didn't fit. I didn't want to earn money that I didn't think I'd earn, and I was never going to let money be a factor. So I started to look for new opportunities, and as you say, Hull City came about, and as with anyone, I think when you're a young lad, you're not really someone's signing, but when you become someone's signing, it's different. You feel part of the first team furniture, and that was a really nice feeling, a proud moment to be Hull's record signing, and something that will live with me for a long time. It's something I'll never forget.
Did the fee put pressure on you as a striker to go out and score goals immediately, or did you just even think about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing now, is it, 250 grand? But back then, it's a lot of money to Hull City, and I get asked it quite a lot. But honestly, it didn't even, it was just a proud moment. I didn't feel any pressure. I just wanted to play my game, and one thing I have missed off about that, I had to get out of out of Leicester City, because obviously less than a year after I left, Peter Taylor got sacked, and they appointed some guy, I don't know, someone Adams, and he would have got rid of me anyway. Do you know what I mean? So I had to get out of the club before that. But going back to Hull City, it didn't affect me. It was a fantastically proud period of my career. I hit the ground running. They had a few bits from other clubs, and it's nice to be a first team player. Nice to be thought of that way and considered that way. So I enjoyed it.
Hey, and then ironically, and I don't like mentioning this, Lawrie, but the manager leaves and Peter Taylor gets appointed as manager again. So how did that relationship work out?
Well, you know what? The thing is, I really like Peter, and if he's in this Zoom chat now, we'd have a great laugh, I'm sure. But I wasn't for him. So whatever I did, I wasn't for him. Was he right? Probably, yeah, because he got Hull City promoted to the to Championship. So before he left, so there's no real feelings for me. I'm not that way inclined anyway. But I just wasn't his kind of player. It was frustrating because I'd done so well at Hull initially, certainly, and I wanted to stay and be a big part of their future. So that was probably the toughest part. But again, I wasn't playing. He'd kind of been a few mistruths, shall we say, about being involved in certain games, and I just knew that I was ready to go and play first team football. And did I leave too soon? We've all been guilty of that. Probably, yeah. My pride was hurt in that I'd gone there as a sign, and all of a sudden I was disposed of. But I just wanted to play football, and that was that will never change in me. So I can't. That's who I am.
I think the important thing that you learn about football, and I try and emphasise this to people at the school, Lawrie, is that football's not personal. There's so many opinions about footballers and football players. You can never ever take it personally, because your nose fits with one manager, one coach, and it doesn't fit with somebody else. But that's part and parcel of the learning curve of football. Do you agree?
Yeah, definitely. Listen, I saw Peter Taylor in 2007. We played them, Crystal Palace, at Palace in the Cup. They put a strong team out. They expected to hammer us in Notts County, and I scored. We won 2-1. And fair play, Peter came up to me after the game as we walk off the pitch. Why do you always do this to me? And I was like, a bit of a joke. And I was like, well, you never played me, that kind of thing, joking. But Peter was the first person after the game that came and gave me the match ball. Little gestures like that. He didn't need to do that. Yeah. So it was never personal. There's some managers that do things that are personal. Some players that do things that are personal, but that was never that for me. So I enjoyed him. He was a funny guy, charismatic, and it just wasn't a good fit. And you then have to decide, don't you? Can I stay here, work twice as hard, and get a chance? And ideally, that is the case. But if you're not going to get a chance, you have to decide, am I going to move for footballing reasons and better myself, or attempt to better myself? And that was the decision that I took.
Yeah. Well, listen, notable moves afterwards: Northampton Town, Southend, Notts County, and then a brief spell in Ireland at Cork. I'm just thinking about the modern day striker, Lawrie. What attributes do you think that you need now to be a top striker?
Well, I think to be any kind of striker, we talk about pace being important, but everyone thinks that pace has got to be the fastest on the pitch. I think we've all seen the Teddy Sheringham's that you'd have played against and played with throughout the years. They're not the quickest strikers, but up here they are. So I think that's really important. We talk about the mental side of the game. So that is huge. I think the runs of a striker are important. For example, I was always a second striker. I wasn't a number 9. I was the running the channels and all that kind of thing. Do a lot of managers, would you have wanted me running the channels? Probably not. That was my game. That was all I was ever taught. And I would make, a few assists and be this kind of second top scorer to a Gary Alexander or somebody like that. So that was my game. But so making the runs at the right position, 9, 10, wherever you're playing. Obviously finishing was something that strangely I got better at when I was older. It wasn't something where I used to work on it more as I was younger, and wasn't the best finisher. I was okay. We could be a brilliant finisher and then a very poor finisher. So that was something that as I got older, that got better.
Is that because you were more relaxed?
Probably, yeah. Probably, I think, and you're in that situation more and more, aren't you? So you're knowing what doesn't work, maybe is the best way to put that. I've done this before. It's not, we've all looked at goals and think, how's that gone in? Because when I've done that 200 times in a game, it's never gone in. Do you know what I mean? But you make your own luck, don't you? It's, I think the reading of the game and the understanding of the game is huge. The tactics that the manager is setting out, because I'll give you an example. I was at Southend, had an amazing time at Southend. We played in the cup final, the playoff final and 2 cup finals in a year. And I was playing up front with Freddie Eastwood. And the manager had a style, and the style was basically, we got 10 players. We are playing as a team of 10 players. Freddie does what he wants. And I was the one that was playing up with Freddie. So that was an incredibly tough period of my career. But I thrived in it. I loved it. Was probably really undervalued, if I'm honest, at that particular point. But what can you say? A guy doesn't do much, doesn't move much for 88 minutes of the game, but comes off, you win 2-1, he's got 2 goals. You can't argue. He got us promoted. I knew my value to the team. Everyone knew his value to the team. So it is what it is. So, there are different kinds of strikers. I think that one thing I know that you're big on, and I was always the same as a player, is fitness as well. I don't care who you are. If you're not fit enough, you're not the fittest on the team, then, playing up front, we joke about it with defenders and midfielders, but, I think that playing up front is, you've got to be the fittest, the sharpest, and so fitness is key to that. So they're all important things. I think the things like expecting the unexpected, gambling, it comes with age, of course, but a lot of people now are prepared to, it's not a great ball, I'm just going to stop. And, and you look at the top strikers, they gamble on everything. They're there before. They expect the keeper to miss the ball. They expect the centre-half to make a mistake. And that's the fine levels, I think, between what makes you a top player and what makes you just an average League 1, League 2 player.
And I guess, Lawrie, also, not letting missed chances affect your confidence and the belief that you've got in yourself. Yeah,
definitely. I think the mental, we always talk about the mental side of the game is huge. It can make you or break you. And, should I have been mentally stronger at times in my career? 100%, yeah. It's something that strangely came to me later in life, probably after I finished football, became more resolute and more strong-minded and that kind of thing. And it is something definitely that I wish that I had the tools to work on as a kid. We all talk about it now, but back 20 years ago, nobody was really talking about that, as much. And I should have worked out myself, but you don't. So now, there's no real excuse for the kids now, because I'm always saying to them, you're gonna, if you want to be a footballer, it's not going to be, oh, this is amazing, I'm a footballer, I've got the best life. There's going to be a lot of kicks in the teeth. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs, and you've got to be prepared to take that. And if you're not, this is not the right profession for you.
Yeah. Well, listen, just moving on, I won't keep you much longer, Lawrie. What are you doing now, mate? I know,
so I'm not,
because I work with all the time.
Well, I get to travel the world with Mr. Adams, don't I? That's the. No, I'm really lucky. I've got, as you know, a tours business, but it's very much aligned with Brookhouse. So it's really good that I can work with like-minded people. So I'm traveling the States. We are bringing tours back to the UK. We're engaging them within Brookhouse as well, and letting them experience the level. Because I think a lot of people will look at Brookhouse and they may have heard about it, but they won't know, for example, that the first team is at such a exceptional level, that they will take on a lot of professional teams. So it's putting that knowledge out to people and engaging them and letting them know what the school's about, what my company Iconz is, shameless plug, is all about. And I've got the best job in the world. I'm still involved in football. I'm doing the things that I enjoy in it and that I've always enjoyed in it, and hopefully being able to make a difference to individuals' lives. And when I come back to England and see some of the boys in Brookhouse that I've helped, been involved in the recruitment process, and they come up and say thank you. I'm a really small cog in that, but it's such a nice feeling to be involved and to give back in that manner.
And for teams that do actually come over, Lawrie, it's a very bespoke service that you offer to them. Is that right?
Yeah, I try to offer as you say, very bespoke. So a behind the scenes, real tangible experience. So obviously, as you'll know, a lot of the teams will come over and they'll train with yourself, and that's no disrespect to any foundation. The biggest thing in the market now is, as we all see, is that teams will be like, oh yeah, we in America, for example, they'll say, we came over to England, we played Man City, and I'll be like, oh, okay, did you play a year down? And they're like, no, we played the same age group. And I was like, how did you get on? And they're like, we won 4-1. And I'm like, you didn't play Man City. So that's fine. There's a need for foundations and all this. I totally understand the branding of it, but I like it to be real. I want people to come over and get a real experience. So real coaching from former Premier League head coach, guest speakers coming in the evenings about mental side of things, about John McGovern coming in and speak about winning the European Cup and in his own words being a very average player, that kind of thing. So I like people to get real stories and a real feel for football, for what I see it, for what it was for me that made me become a footballer, because I honestly think that I would struggle to motivate myself to some of the things you hear today. It's a very different game to what it was for me growing up, and I'm trying to get rid of some of the not so good stuff and just keep it a very tangible experience. Okay,
so and finally, Lawrie, what advice would you give to a Lawrie Dudfield at 11 years old?
I would seriously warn myself that the ups and downs, the mental side of the game, it's so important, and that is, it can make you or break you, as I said before. And I just think that if I'd have known what I know now, we all say it is, if you could bottle it up and take it back, you would, in a time machine. I wouldn't change a thing, because I don't think you can ever look back, but it would be great to have that knowledge of how to deal with the knockbacks. So you're a manager, and the amount of times that I've been dropped, believe it or not, and you're not even spoken to sometimes, and maybe I wanted to be spoken to, or what, it wasn't dealt with the right way, and I didn't deal with it the right way. And I wish that you could just go like that, just go back to it and just get on with it and get my place back. And things festered longer than they should have sometimes and were dealt with wrong. So I think that, I would go back and tell myself, love the game, never ever let that, lose sight of that, what you're in this for. I was as happy on £40 a week as I was on my top wage at Hull City. So, and I was as happy playing at Kettering as I was at Leicester, and that's the honest God's truth. So you've got to love the game. I think you've got to study the game, you've got to know the game, and be prepared for everything.
Right, good advice, mate. Well, listen, on behalf of Brookhouse College, we want to thank you for your time, and we wish you well, and we'll see you soon, Lawrie.
Thanks very much, mate. Stay safe.
And you, mate. All the best.